Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I'm here again with Spellbinders, and this time I'm using one of the dies from the Vintage Treasures collection by Becca Feeken. This is one of those frame dies that are extremely intricate and have multiple layers, so you can create very simple to put together but elegant cards in no time. Now that black strip going along in the package, I did put that there. That is a magnetic strip so that can keep my dies in place. So you can see there are 5 dies, and this is called, and I do not know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but we'll give it a shot. Cannetille Rectangle. I'm probably wrong. But you can see you have the outer, and then you have the details for the inside on the large, and then you also have an inner portion that's got its own cutout frame as well, and then you have the little tiny section that goes in the section, or in the center, I'm sorry. So as always with all of the packaging that you get from Spellbinders, you get beautiful inspiration, and to save time I have pre-die cut my pieces and also colored some of them as well. I did pull out some of the florals from a previous die set that I had used. It was the flip card, the flip out card. So I used the floral dies from that. So I also used the hello from that die set as well. So I'm going to layer that. I cut out 3. Just to make it a little bit more dimensional, and then I also used the shadow portion that I cut out in vellum. So this color here, it's ivory, so I'm using some rose golds, some desert storm, and some blush or petal pink from Stampin' Up! For my cardstock, and then some ivory. Now, the beauty of it, when it comes to the florals, I did use white cardstock for that, and I'm going to show you how I colored those. So if you just have some white cardstock, you don't have too many colors, you can certainly use your white cardstock and color it with your inks or anything that you might have, markers and so forth. So I'm going to look at the center, and I'm going to use my fine tip glue applicator. This is my art glitter glue, and I get these applicators from Amazon. And then I'm going to place that on top of the solid portion. So I used both die cuts to cut this piece so that I can get the intricate design, and then also, of course, the outer cut dimension. But then I just used the outer frame for this section to cut my Desert Storm piece. So it kind of gives me that backing for this piece. And that piece that I'm using is actually, I'm sorry, not my Desert Storm. It's actually a satin mirror cardstock. And this is the rose gold that I'm using. So it's actually the center from that piece that I'm putting glue on right now. So with those pieces cut out, I'm able to have this frame that will sit on my Desert Storm cardstock, because that is the color now that we're going to put that. And I'm going to apply that directly. Now this will take up the front of your card panel, which is a standard A2 size card panel, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. But you will have those notches that are cut out that will show from your card base. For this piece here, I am going to use my double-sided foam tape to prop that up, just to give it some dimension. One of the things that I love about these intricate dies is the multiple layers that you can get, and the dimension and the texture that it can give to your card. And again, in no time, I already have that dimension and texture and intricate design going on my card base. I'm actually using antique linen, nope, not vintage photo, and that is how I colored my florals, my flower petals. I just put that all over the top. I wanted a soft shade so we could go into that ivory just a little bit. But here you can see I'm just using a blender to put that color on. And it's actually one of the new style blenders by Nuvo. It came in one of their kits. For my leaves, I did use 2 shades of my alcohol markers. So you can see I'm using a flicking motion just to go up on that leaf. So if it doesn't cover it completely, that's fine. That's just an automatic highlight that I went with. And then I'll come in with a darker shade just to come in from the bottom, just to give it some depth. Because these will be tucked in around those florals. Now, of course, I've got to give them some dimension, my florals. I mean, you could just layer them the way they are. So I did pull out my foam pad, and I'm going to real quick grab my tool. Now, again, if you don't have this, you don't need this tool. You could use a pen as long as it has a rounded edge. You don't want something with a point, but you just want to make sure that it does have that rounded edge. You can see I'm going to just use my liquid glue and just layer these, staggering the petals against each other, and then press down so that it'll all lift up on itself. And so I'm going to make 3 of these. So again, really quick, your time is consumed in the die cutting. But once you have it all die cut out, it takes no time to put together. I'm just going to use a foam square for this little centerpiece that's going to sit in between the scrolls that are going on in the frame. And then, excuse me, I'm going to prep my card base. I'm just going to take my bone folder, make sure I have a good crease there. And you can see the corners that stick out. But I didn't want those white. I'm kind of going for an ivory soft feel. So I'm just going to use my antique linen, and I'm just going to cover up the corners of my card base. So I'm doing this directly onto my card base. Now I'm making sure that I'm staying in the same area because I'm trying not to get the ink on the back side of my card base. I could have opened it up. Yeah, but that would be for the bottom. Couldn't do that for the top. So we just went with it. It's okay. If I had a little bit of ink on the back, it was all right. I didn't even check. You know, just let that go. Let it go. It's good. It's all good. I'm going to glue my design base right onto my standard A2 size card base. I had a little bit of a clog there, and finally it worked itself out. And I'm just going to set that right in place. I do like to use liquid glue because it does give me time to wiggle, maneuver, and shift it around. Once that's all set, I'm going to grab my sentiment, and that's going to sit on top of that last piece. Now, here's my bow that I made offline, and I was kind of liking the way it drooped down, but I did not like the tails. So what I did was, after I set my sentiment in place, just putting the glue behind the hello, I took these ends, I folded them in half, and then I curled them up to the back. So what I'm going to create, and once they're set, so I wish I had a third hand here. Once they're set, I'm just going to real quick grab some thread that I already have on a needle, and I'm just going to go through those layers. You won't see it from the front. I know I chose black. I'm just going to real quick trim that, and I'm just going to tie a knot. And then that's going to secure it, and then I'll trim off the top of the two edges that are sticking up along that. I just really liked the look of the bow, of the loops drooping down. So I wanted that to continue. So that's the bow that I real quick made. And I'm going to adhere that using my glue dots. When I find I'm layering my florals and the petals, or applying a bow of some sort, I do like to use my glue dots. Now I'm being very careful because of course I want to change the location, and we're good because it was right on all of that detail. I just wanted to move it up just a little bit. So now I'm going to place my florals, and I am again going to use my glue dots. I think they give, because there is so much dimension that's going on, I'm kind of pushing these down into that area. I just think that the glue dots do provide a stronger hold. The liquid glue would as well, but it does take a little bit to dry. And I don't want these to shift. Glue dots are perfect for this. They just hold everything right where it needs to be. So each time I'm off camera here, I'm grabbing one of my glue dots because they're on a really long strip, and I didn't want to pull that out onto my table. I was starting to run out of room. Yes. And then once they're in place, then I'm going to work on my leaves. Now for my leaves, I will use my liquid glue because I'm just putting a little bit on the tips of them, and I'm just tucking them in around the florals in multiple areas because I just like that pop of green to come out from around them. So it all depends. I do like the focal, which are the florals, to be in odd numbers. But when it comes to the leaves, I do try to keep that with odd numbers as well. But again, my eye tells me this is what I'm looking for. This is definitely what I want. And then my eyes will actually say, okay, enough. We don't need to add any more. We're getting carried away. So I do use what I'm looking at and what I see for me to say, okay, enough's enough. We'll stop here. But I do like the way that green just comes out and just adds a little bit of a different color. Now, of course, we've got to have some sparkle. So I did pull out my gems from Pretty Pink Posh, and I'm going to place them. Now, you could have absolute fun with these. Of course, I'm going to go in the center of my flowers with the largest of the gems, just to fill that in and to have the most sparkle. But with this design of this frame, you can certainly have all kinds of fun and some great designs with the gems just placed all over in the areas where, you know, the lines curl up on themselves, or you could actually see that there's areas where you can put a gem, whether it's a square or a circle. So you could have a lot of fun just embellishing this. You could also use if you have Nouveau drops, or oh my goodness, I forgot what they're called. Speckles? No. I forgot what they were called, but those glitter drops. By all means, there's so much that you could add. Sequins, or anything else that you can think of. So I am using my wax pencil just to place them all around my card. But I didn't want to put, again, I didn't want to put too many because I really just wanted to make sure that there wasn't too much to take away from the focal points. So as always, here are the close-ups of the project that we made today. Again, using the Vintage Treasure release by Becca Feeken for Spellbinders. I do hope you enjoy that. All the products that I use, of course, will be listed down below in the video description. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and watching today's video. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe, and here's a few more videos that I thought you might like. I hope everyone's having a great day. Make sure you take care, but always remember what's most important. Always, always be creative.